Hey, welcome everyone, and welcome to the second part of the Scrum. This is your host Samyajit, and we have been discussing many things, and it's all in name and fame, and money comes easily then. So it's all about knowledge, and if one has knowledge, then everything will follow accordingly. Well, in the Scrum first series, the first part, we learned about the Scrum values, the Scrum pillars, then artifacts, and then what is a sprint, what is backlogs, and then etc. etc. Even Scrum is a framework, not a methodology or a process. So we learned the basics and then also some points for the Scrum. We discussed a lot of things, and then if you want to recap, then go to my previous video and then you can see what are the things we discussed. Okay. I don't want to be very elaborative or make the videos like extensive, so then I'm making short videos for you to easily understand. Generally you can go for certification. Having a certificate is good actually, because in my LinkedIn also now I have the Scrum certification there from Udemy, and then other certification. This gives a kind of like validation that you did your job, and then you're not saying everything. The documents also show that you have done many things. Okay, in the part 2 we will be discussing about sprints, but a little bit of a recap, and this very good file I got from this website Bestarion, and then here they show that what are the different elements or technical terms in the Scrum process. Well, Scrum is not a process, but it's a framework, remember that. And Scrum is mainly aimed towards achieving a goal, and how that goal should be achieved. Scrum demonstrates some guidelines, and there they say that in a Scrum gives us some kind of guidelines that how a team should be formed and what are the constituents of the team. And they say that to execute a project, you can break down into chunks of work, and each chunk of work is taken as a sprint, and then in 1 month time you deliver that sprint. How a team should be comprised of in Scrum, the guideline is that should be one product owner, not many. One product owner. There should be one Scrum Master, not many. One Scrum Master. Maximum, apart from these two, maximum 8 people as a developer you can have in your project. So maximum 10 people, and minimum is 3 people, or minimum is 4 to 5 people, because one product owner or one Scrum Master is a must. After that, number of developer, it depends. And once the team is formed, once the sprint starts, you cannot bring in more people. That is a violation of a Scrum. You cannot take external support, because it should be planned before the project starts, the sprint starts. So there is a sprint planning meeting takes place. It's not part of the sprint, but then it's a part of the whole achieving towards the goal. And in that there is a different discussion about backlogs. Backlog means the task to be done, the team, and etc. etc. A backlog is formed, then we are sprinting. There can be multiple sprints. There are no ideal number of sprints for a project. And Scrum means achieving one value or adding one value. Without value, there is no Scrum. If your project is not adding value, then that is Scream, not Scrum. So whether you want to Scream or Scrum, it depends on you. Because being agile or being fragile is also kind of a very peculiar concept. So then, okay. At the end, there is daily Scrum, and in daily you update your progress of the works, and then there is at the end of the sprint or 1 month, there is sprint review, there is sprint retrospective, and then you showcase your product finished works. And finished works not in form of presentation, but it's a tool, or it's a kind of a tangible thing you are showcasing, not saying that in future I'm going to do this, and future I'm going to do this, etc. etc. That is, please excuse me, that is crap. Okay, then moving forward, in this second part, we'll be discussing about sprints, and then there are a lot of texts, but then it is good for you to read, listen to me, do or pause and read everything. From cognitive point of view, it is effective actually. You are reading as well as learning, as well as listening. Well, sprint, as I said earlier, max 1 month. It can be less than 1 month, so 2 weeks, 3 weeks, etc., etc. Well, sprint is a container for Scrum events. We discussed about this. Each sprint is kind of a like a mini project where you have a kind of work breakdown structure. What are the list of work to be done that is maintained in some kind of planner board, and then you're executing accordingly. All events of Scrum are time boxed. Scrum board is used, which has the sprint backlogs. Well, these are formal events to create regularity. Sprint is a kind of a formal events, and it refines the product backlog. Product backlog means, for example, during the project initiation phase, you created a kind of work breakdown structure where you listed out the different works to be done. But then over the period of project execution, there is empiricism, which means from experience you learn a lot of things and then you refine the product backlog. Well, product owner is only responsible for listing out or making or maintaining those work breakdown structures or the backlogs. Decisions made in sprint planning are flexible and emergent. Scope could change during a sprint. So when you're executing a sprint, the scope could change, but the goal shouldn't change. Remember this. Sprint events, participants are Scrum team only. So during the sprint, when you are sprinting, then only the Scrum team is allowed to sprint. That's it. No other. You cannot take the support of business and sprint with you. They can be helpful for suggesting or advising, but they cannot sprint with you. However, for sprint backlog, advice could be sought. Okay. Till here, everything is clear. Whole sprint team decides the goal and developers commit to goal, not backlog, because backlogs could vary. Capacity to execute the sprint is decided before. Developers have a final say in sprint increments because those are the people who are coding or working or giving a service, etc., etc. So they know how much time it will take. The product owner and the Scrum Master should discuss with them collectively and then take their suggestion and feedback for the timeline to be made. Only developers who are executing the project actually, because others are coordinating only, can change the sprint backlog. But that would be, they can change, but they need to inform the product owner, because the product owner will change the backlogs accordingly. New tasks that than planned can be a part of the sprint. Well, new task is, suppose the business advises there is a goal set, but the goal can be variant. For delivering of the goal, add some new elements there. The same goal but with new elements. Then we cannot refuse it. We can refuse it, but then a mutual discussion needs to happen. And each task needs to be properly described and recorded. So scope of sprint is not fixed, but sprint goal is. So you cannot run away from your sprint goal. And sprint goal is not delivering a presentation, but a real tangible thing. Well, some people have this kind of people who don't have knowledge, then they say a lot of things, and then there are certain elements that we should take into consideration for my word, and certain things that how can I say, I'm forgetting that word, certain things which we have a kind of a myth that this is all could be a part of the sprint, but these are not. For example, when you delivered a product, then you delivered the product in a hurry, then the product needs a lot of maintenance, and you are saying the management team that you want to create a sprint for maintenance. So that is violation of his. You are just doing time pass there. So product quality shouldn't be compromised. So if you are delivering a application, then there shouldn't be any kind of problem with that application. It should run perfectly. You will not give a technical debt to your colleagues. Remember that. Sprint zero, like planning. Planning is not a sprint. Defining a system architecture planning, that is not a sprint. So that it's not a valid sprint. It should be done outside the sprinting period. Release sprint, like you want to release something and you want to take do testing or something, but release sprint is not a sprint. Design sprint, that is rubbish. It's not a part of the Scrum also. And sprint is over when time is over, not goals are delivered. Okay, yeah, you can end the sprint before its time period, but then the goal needs to be delivered. Management team should not verify the works during the sprint. They will see the increments during the sprint review. So in this box or set of definitions, many organizations fail to implement this kind of things because they think they are smart, but then we have to be very much be pragmatic about what we are doing in the office and what we are getting paid for it. So then these are certain things. If some experienced guys are listening to my or they don't know about Scrum and they're listening to me, then please try to follow this, because this is a violation of a Scrum. If you are not implementing Scrum, then you are screaming. You are not doing anything. You are screaming, and that's it. Okay, moving forward, then sprint review meetings. What do you mean by sprint review meetings and what needs to be done there? Well, end users or all product holders must be present for valuable feedback to the Scrum team. This is one point. It is a product inspection day to further adapt, not a demonstration meeting. Like for example, you are coming with a PPT slides and just showing you want to do this, you want to do this. No, it's the day when you showcase some tangible products to the end user so that they can start using it. In fact, you shouldn't be showing them. They should take your mouse and start working with it. Report, application, services, etc., etc. It's the last day of the sprint. It is time boxed to 4 hours for a month. Okay, could be less if it is bi-weekly. The sprint is 2 weeks, then it is 2 hours. Undone works should not be presented if you have not done it. Do not present your future goals there. Only increments are presented. Not a demo meeting, not to sell anything, no screenshots, no PPT, but live increments, like live testing day, and you are showcasing everyone what this product can do. Product backlog might be adjusted during the sprint, etc., etc. We discussed about this. So be very mindful about these points, and this is what should be done during a project. Very important. Okay, now the sprint, you did a sprint, and then it's time to look back. What could have changed, or what could be done to improve, etc., etc. It's like a retrospective looking back. And this meeting should only happen within the Scrum team, which means one product owner, one Scrum master, and maximum 8 developers. Discussion about interpersonal limitations, interpersonal skills, or limitations in interpersonal skills, productive, quality issues, etc., etc. It is done after the sprint review. Time box to 3 hours for a 1 month sprint. Remember this, 3 hours. So you can see that in a Scrum framework or the boundary, each meeting, how much time, what is the constituent, what is the team size, what needs to be done, everything clearly defined. It is not mandatory that during retrospective Scrum team have to or must adopt one improvement. It's not that. Suppose we discuss that, okay, from 6 developers, 1 developer's interpersonal skills are not good. He is a kind of introvert. Then we need to remove him. It's not that we have to implement it. It's that we discussed, okay, then we will work on it to grow for it. But then at the end is a decision of the whole team to what to do. But then it's okay. Okay. So this is what I wanted to share in part 2. I think people are getting more equipped with different concepts, and this is very much important to know how to work in a project, what to do, how to do, and why to do it. It's not that we are not getting paid in the company for nothing. It's just, and this will also bring in you that you are in the future leading a team, becoming a product owner, and then you are implementing all these kind of framework guidelines, and then people are not confused about their roles and responsibilities. People know, and each one will have a scope to grow also. With that being said, have a nice day, guys, and we will see each other in the next video. It's very cold out here, and